What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, what's happening with news involving the markets, what you should be watching for as time progresses on the charts. But before we get into most information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you are guaranteed 7 free stocks. And the offer ends very soon, in just about 4 days from now. Anyways, when it comes to the way that the SPY chart is moving, I just want to say that right now SPY is attempting to rebound just a bit. We're approaching this very, very key 528 area, in my opinion. We'll have to see how we end up reacting to that, as we're going to see a big test right there. But I first want to talk about some data before I break down more details about the charts. We have two main things coming out for today. The first thing is going to be at 9:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right after the market opens, we have Waller giving a speech from the Fed. We'll see what that causes. Then at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Reports, the 5-year inflationary expectations, the current conditions report, and such. And we'll see what they use this for the markets. So I believe that the big players, the institutions out there, are going to continue to move liquidity around in the markets as they make their trades and such. And they oftentimes make big trades and make big moves once data releases like this come out. And we'll have to see what happens once that ends up being the case. So we'll see what happens with liquidity and such for the markets once we get this data released. So I do expect some high volatility once this data comes out, and we'll see what else ends up playing out. So far, we have a couple of headlines worth going over. The market's talking about how Nvda wasn't necessarily enough to really lead the whole market. Nvidia continued to squeeze yesterday, but the overall market continued to actually kind of pop and drop. And that's what we saw for the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. For more things coming out, the SEC is changing rules to allow the creation of ETFs that buy and hold Ethereum. That's actually a very, very big change, at least as of right now. On top of this, the U.S. Department of Justice is suing to break up the entertainment company Live Nation. There's a lot of things going on involving antitrust violations, so that's going to be very, very important. We'll see if anything changes with that. There's also a rapid increase in insurance costs that may actually be slowing down. So that's actually a very, very good sign, at least for now, for consumers. If that ends up being the case, we'll see if the rate at which insurance costs are actually slowing down. If that is to be the case, I really hope that could end up happening. Some headlines are saying that, but we'll see how things go, at least with this. We also have a lot of things going on right here with Boeing. They said on Thursday it's going to burn through cash in 2024 and that new plane deliveries won't improve in the second quarter, which is not the best of news for them. But things could shift later on, but that's what I'm seeing, at least for now, for Boeing. Not very, very good news. Now, as far as SPY goes, please know that we have over 320 plus thousand of these calls expiring, and we have over 550,000 puts expiring with a 1.76 put to call ratio and 527 being the max pain. So we'll have to see what that causes for the markets. Let me just note that right now, as SPY is trying to rebound a bit, we have to watch and see what happens because SPY is about to be testing the 528 zone. We'll have to see how we end up reacting to that. Now, just know that when you look at the daily time frame on SPY, we haven't fully filled our gap yet. We still have this gap to fill all the way down here at this 523 area. So will it fill today or next week? We'll just have to wait and see. Now, the market's trying to rebound a bit, exactly what we predicted yesterday. But the question is, will we get a rejection upon doing so? If SPY does get a rejection, here are the levels to basically watch for. So I'm going to go to the 4-hour time frame to show you this. We have resistance at this 528 area, and we're also approaching our 20 EMA, which is kind of curling down right here. So on the 20 EMA, this is in the mid 528 area. If we break through that, our next target is going to be all the way up to about 530 or even higher than that to fill this imbalance at 531. Those are going to be your resistance levels: 528, 530, and 531 is the main ones. If we push to this area, we end up getting a rejection, and we start sinking back down. SPY has this gap to fill all the way down to about 525. The 525 zone is going to be our first support. If we lose that, there's going to be a bigger gap to fill all the way down to 523 or lower. So I think that the most likely possibility SPY will push a little bit higher. We'll be approaching this resistance, and we might get a rejection in the 528s and start tipping back down to these lower levels to fill some gaps. I do favor that a bit more, but just to be safe, it is a Friday. There's a lot of manipulation on days like this, so we will have to wait and see. That's why I watch the resistance in the 528 zone. That's going to be our big test. That's coming near our 20 EMA. Do we pop and reject and come down, or do we end up just kind of breaking through resistance and pushing higher. Honestly, guys, I'm going to be in the middle. We'll wait and see. I do think the market's going to rebound a bit, but we'll be watching to see where we get the rejection. Will it be 530 or 528? That's what I'm going to be watching for. For Tesla is making an attempt to push towards our EMAs. It's been kind of range bound right now. We have resistance at this 175 area and support at 173 and also at 172. Every time we hit the 172, 173 area, Tesla does bounce. So there is going to likely be an attempt to push higher. We might even try to get to these EMAs at 176.5. But the issue is we haven't officially broken resistance, so we have to give this some time. So we'll see how Tesla ends up doing here. Do we kind of pop a bit then reject? Or do we reject right here? So watch and see if we kind of pop and hit this resistance and reject. I'll give this some time moving forward. For Nvda has resistance at 1060. We have support currently at 1030. If we lose 1030, we're turning back down to 1000. If we break past 1060, look for 1080 and then 1100 as our next targets. Overall, Nvidia does look a bit more bullish, so we'll give it some time and see how things go. For the QQQ, we have resistance at 456. We have support at 454.5 and then 453 and 452. I think that the QQQ could push a little bit higher towards the 456 area, but just be very, very mindful of the fact that even if we do go a little higher, there could be rejection coming in and move back down to fill this first gap down here, and also another gap all the way down here to fill at 450. So I think it's very important to note that the QQQ could pop a little bit higher, and we'll see if we get a rejection here in the 456 area before we come back down. I'll be watching for that very, very carefully. If we do end up getting rejection on 456, watch 455. Losing that would open the doors for the gap fill down to 453. Then 450 is going to be our next target below that for another gap. So we'll see. But look for a little push first and see if you get a rejection or not. That's going to be key for the triple Q. For Aapl, we're also trying to kind of push a little bit higher. We have a key resistance approaching this 189 zone near our 20 EMA. I think we could be pushing very close to 189. If we reject it, we're going to be moving right back down towards 186.5 or even 185. If we break through that, we're going to be pushing higher. I think we might kind of pop and then drop as the most likely possibility. So we'll give that some time. Just a few more to be going over before I conclude the video. I'm going to go over Coinbase first before I talk about the memes. Coinbase is trading sideways. We have resistance currently at 223. We have support currently at 219. Whichever way we breaks will determine a bigger move. If we do break through this, we'll look for 228. Otherwise, we're just trading sideways during the pre-markets, so give it some time. If we break past 223, look for 228 or higher to 232. If we lose 218, we're going to turn a bit more bearish and start dipping lower. We're just range bound for now. For Amazon, we're also trading sideways, trying to push a little bit higher. Look at 182 as resistance. If we establish a lower high at 182 to 183, we could be rejecting, starting to dip all the way down to the lower 180s. If we break through resistance in the 182s, we're going to be looking for a push for 183 plus. So overall, we'll see how things end up moving, at least moving forward. Look for a little pop, and we'll see if we reject or not. So give this some time. Amazon may pop a bit higher before anything else. For Meta, we have resistance currently at 469 and also at 471. And we have support currently at this 465 area and also at 462. So with this setup on Meta, I just want to say that there's a possible head and shoulders here, so just be careful. We need to try to break the 200 EMA to turn back to bullish. If we fail to do so, there's going to be a risk of it dipping down to fill this gap. So watch for this setup on Meta. That's going to be very key for how we end up moving. For a few more out there, AMC and GameStop before I conclude the video. AMC are in both very, very critical positions. We could fill this gap on GameStop to a little bit more into the 17s before we try to bounce. So look for a little bit more downside towards the 17s before anything else. And then for AMC, we could be dipping to the 4.5 area. If we lose that, we could be dipping to 4.25. And watch to see if we get a bounce after that. With that being said, thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. Just know that right now the market's in a very, very critical place. SPY especially is trying to rebound a bit, but we'll see if we reject or not as we approach some key resistance. So we'll give this the time we need, and we're going to be very, very patient nonetheless. With that being said, I want to thank you all for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in just a couple of hours. Sorry this video is kind of late to upload. I had a little issue again, but it's fine. See you guys soon. Thank you, and peace out.